The first run we do in Rotorua Forest Haulage's new Kenworth C509 for New Zealand Truck and Drivers' final GT Big Test of 2022, the logger goes over the weighbridge and driver Stephen Teddy declares it a bit of a light load. Yep, it's only 144 tonnes. So the off-highway tractor unit and its three-trailer combo is at around 190 tonnes all up, rather than its usual 200 tonnes plus. Okay, so this is the biggest combination we've ever tested, quite likely the longest in the country. The 53-metre long unit is headed by the 6x4 C509 with its 578 horsepower Cummins X15, 18-speed Road Ranger manual gearbox and Sisu hub reduction rear axles. Then there's a 3-axle semi ahead of 5-axle and 4-axle trailers. This log train works exclusively in the central North Island's Kaingaroa Forest, much of the time running between the Timberland's Kaingaroa Processing Plant, KPP, and the Murupara railhead. It also carts out of skid sites carefully selected to ensure that the routes out aren't too steep, the corners too tight. RFH's Jake Rogers says the treble carries 50% more than a double while running similar road speeds and trip times. It can do 4 round trips from KPP to Murupara in a day, carting 600 to 700 tonnes of logs. Trebles were used in Kaingaroa decades back, and RFH reintroduced the concept 4 years ago with a near-identical C509 unit, which our test truck is replacing. Jake drove the older treble and loved it, reasoning if you're going to drive a truck, you might as well drive the biggest truck. He believes the C509 is the truck for this job, rating the 4-year-old Kenworth bloody good. When Jake moved into management, the much-experienced Stephen Teddy was his ideal replacement on the treble, meeting key criteria. You have to have someone who isn't in any rush, who has good attention to detail. About 60% of the run from KPP to Murupara is downhill, with a few moderate climbs. The short drive still takes about an hour, with every gear split to safely get up to speed. 10 shifts to make it to 30 kmh. Stephen says the unit requires patience, forward planning, always being in the right gear. He's unhurried and very smooth with his gear shifts and rarely allows the revs to drop below 1500. Although he routinely does the Murupara run, he reckons it feels a bit different every time. You have to be 100% focused all the time, always staying ahead of what the truck is going to do, he explains. On the wide but heavily cambered gravel roads, it's important to stay close to the crown, while always being alert for any oncoming traffic. Having trailer wheels slew towards the water table is not an option. Speed is definitely not a priority. On one long downhill, Stephen downshifts to third high, so at 1800 revs, the engine brake holds us back at 18 kmh. Mostly, the treble isn't much different to drive than a double, but there is a lot more work to do. An RFH-developed system automatically tensions the chains, but Stephen still has to throw and release 24 of them each trip. Regardless, he says it's a privilege to drive this log train.